So good day to everybody, and thank you for attending our presentation on understanding NFRC documents and certification programs. I'm Scott Halen, Program Director of Operations, and I've been in the industry since about 1995, first working in the lab environment, and then started in 2006 here at NFRC. I was the Laboratory Accreditation Program Manager, and fortunately been able to work my way up through the to the Director level. Now, before we get started, we have some logistics to handle first. This presentation will be made available to you as our communication team will send you an email in the very near future with a link to the presentation. We will also be taking questions at the end of the presentation. So please use the question dialog box. And if you have any questions about the presentation, its content, or if you're having technical issues, we have many colleagues available standing by to support you. And then speaking of my colleagues, this presentation would not have happened without the support of our communication team. So I'm virtually applauding Michelle, Jessica, Robin, and Jeremy, and thanking them for their assistance in getting this presentation together, and I hope I make us look good. So today, we're going to obtain an understanding about NFRC's operational program and technical documents in relationship to the NFRC certification program. To understand the relationship between NFRC's certification programs and documents, we're going to begin with understanding how NFRC is relevant to the fenestration industry. And then we're going to learn about NFRC's operational, technical, and program documents and bulletins, and how they're related to establishing and maintaining NFRC certification program. Now, we're going to begin with understanding NFRC's relevancy and quickly look at the past, present, and the future of NFRC. Understanding NFRC's relevancy starts with why NFRC was created, the importance of the NFRC certification program's independence, and how NFRC's benefits support the industry, both domestic and internationally, and what's next on NFRC's plate, because we're always trying to move forward and maintain our relevancy. Now, due to the energy crisis in the 70s and 80s and prior to NFRC, a manufacturer could use any means to provide performance ratings to meet or exceed the required performance. They can state any performance level due to the lack of standardization within the industry. Performance results were provided based on different sizes or standards, and this would confuse the code official, the consumer, the homeowner, the building owner, the general contractor. The government highly recommended a change. Either they were going to step in or the industry needs to figure out a solution. And NFRC was formed as part of the only recognized energy performance program for windows, doors, and skylights. The introduction of NFRC as the sole source for independent ratings helps standardize the simulation and test method, providing the consumer a means to compare different products to the same level. NFRC certification program also helped the code bodies to set a level playing field. International energy codes reference NFRC, and most importantly, NFRC certification is required for Energy Star products. Our FenStar program is NFRC's certification program to qualify for Energy Star products. The most important factor is the introduction of the NFRC label and label certificate, which omits the different confusing methods to provide performance data. NFRC goal is to establish a level playing field for all participants, manufacturers, laboratories, and certification programs. In the end, this goal creates a fair, accurate, and credible program that benefits the consumer. For NFRC to provide a level playing field for the industry, we had to establish a third-party independent program. And NFRC's product certification program, the PCP, does that by working like a three-legged stool, utilizing three major components to support a credible program. Now, sometimes I get asked, what is special about NFRC's way of doing things? And how does this program achieve independence? And this is what I really like about it. Enjoying and explaining how the design of NFRC's PCP and why NFRC has been relevant for the industry is by providing a level playing field, which is like a simple three-legged stool. The third-party independence begins with the NFRC standardized procedures for the simulation labs. The program documents set the requirements to become an accredited lab. And the technical documents are ANSI 100, 200, and 500, and our simulation procedures and manuals and technical interpretations set those technical requirements to generate ratings. For NFRC certification, only certified simulators from NFRC that work for an NFRC accredited lab can provide ratings and must rely and use on NFRC standards, both program and technical. Fair, accurate, and credible occurs because all simulation labs are utilizing the same requirements with no deviation. Next, the NFRC accredited test lab physically tests a single product to validate the simulation. These labs must use the NFRC 102 thermal test standard to perform the thermal test. Again, by only using the same procedure and having to be an NFRC accredited lab, the requirement reinforces the fair, accurate, and credible and independency of NFRC's certification programs. The final part of NFRC certification program is when the independent certification programs, the IAs, the inspection agencies, review the accredited lab's thermal and simulation reports with the goal to authorize the product for certification. There are specific requirements to validate the simulation, and those are referenced in our technical and program documents. Not only do the labs verify not only do the IAs, verify the labs what was modeled and tested within accordance with our NFRC technical documents, the IAs also add value to the program because they're performing in-plant inspections at the program participants' facilities. The NFRC product certification program utilizes the three independent processes to create a fair, accurate, and credible level playing field for all entities. NFRC does not allow the certification without these three legs. The manufacturer cannot provide their own data, and complete independence due to following the NFRC procedures and standardized protocols, and that does lead us to the benefits of NFRC certification programs. NFRC is visible in the codes or other third-party programs. However, many do not realize the unspoken benefits of NFRC certification programs, which help to transform the marketplace and promote energy efficiency. So you may be wondering, how does NFRC work well for the industry? Well, NFRC ratings and programs help to transform the marketplace by being the legitimate foundation for other programs. Not only do we have a mission to serve the public to provide independent rating system, but we also provide energy efficiency within our sustainability endeavors. We're helping to transform the marketplace because of our independence. NFRC's programs are using third-party entities which are independent from the program, and these programs are developed to maintain by NFRC through ISO and ASTM documents, and we are also a consensus organization. There are no hidden agendas or government regulations. We are in fact here for the consumer. The government does not intervene, but references NFRC is the only window door skylight energy rating program. Other programming codes, such as our utilities, local municipalities, LEEDs, Nebraska Energy Office, California Energy Commission, and then Canada, rely on NFRC certified energy performance ratings for their programs. NFRC's ratings are required to participate in an Energy Star program in some cases to meet IECC requirements, and to have certified products in Canada, one of the paths is to use NFRC certified simulators. NFRC also has international relationships. Our documents were used to help develop the Australian Fenestration Rating Council, the AFRC. We are continuing to work with the Association of Architectural Aluminum Manufacturers of South Africa on their Certified Simulator program. And in 2015, we developed a Certified Simulator program with the Korean Architectural Facade Association, KAFA. All of these partnerships would not be possible if our programs and documents were not developed in a consensus manner and continue to require the independence, as I previously mentioned. And NFRC's role does not stop there. NFRC can have the biggest impact as a conveyor in the industry when it comes to promoting energy efficiency, particularly in the sustainability sector. NFRC is committed to building a sustainable future by advancing the continuous improvements of windows, doors, and skylights. NFRC is uniquely positioned to lead and inspire our members and stakeholders to increase public awareness of energy efficiency and environmental responsibility by sharing best practices and providing ongoing education and resources. Additionally, NFRC invites our members to share their sustainable efforts, environmental best practices, and carbon emissions reduction strategies. NFRC can provide that platform for industry-wide conversations about sustainability, education, and resources for our members. Together, we can advance the fenestration industry and build a sustainable future. Now, I did discuss how our programs are fair, accurate, and credible, and support many in the industry. So now it's time to understand how it is all possible. And this is due to our documents. We have 4 level documents, and I will describe the different documents in detail and the relationship to the NFRC certification program and our participants. Our operational documents is how NFRC operates. Our program documents are the regulations for our programs. Our technical documents are the test methods and standards to generate ratings. And then our NFRC bulletins are the way we communicate to our participants. The operational documents are governed by the board of directors and are the foundation for everything NFRC. There are 2 main operational documents, the bylaws and the NFRC 710, which are the documents that govern the NFRC regarding our legalese and our operations. The bylaws are the article of corporation establishing the hierarchy of the board of NFRC of our officers. The NFRC 710 provides the details on committee structures and membership and procedures and guidelines and voting and all that stuff. And these documents, again, are governed by the board of directors. The how to run the programs, how to create the independence and fairness is housed in our program documents. The program documents listed here all cover programs and related entities such as a manufacturer, an IA, and a calculation, approved calculation entity, an IG certification program, or a laboratory. And these documents are governed by a specific policy committee. These documents, the NFRC 700, the NFRC 703, and the NFRC 705, are governed by a specific roster committee. This is where our consensus process really shines, as these program documents are balloted by the membership, which is handled through a task group, a subcommittee, and a committee, and ultimately approved by the board of directors for implementation. These documents establish requirements for the participants, and again, are governed by a roster committee. To have a well-rounded program, we have to have the additional oversight documents for compliance and challenges issues that are governed by the executive committee. The NFRC 707 and the NFRC 714 are just that. They set the action for non-compliance issues, and if there's a question about the performance of a product or component, we do have a challenge procedure. Again, these documents are governed by our NFRC executive committee. So these are our program documents. And speaking of a program, now let's see how all these program documents relate to our 2 certification programs. First, we'll look at the program related to the NFRC 700 program document, which is for our residential and site-built participants. For the residential and site-built program, and site-built is just that, products that are built on site, whether in residential or commercial environment. The guideline document for these participants is the NFRC 700. The third-party entities, the simulation labs, test labs, and IA will follow the 701 for our laboratories and the NFRC 702 for our IAs. Now, this is where our third-party independence occurs within the NFRC certification program. The IAs and labs utilize the technical documents, the ANSI NFRC 100, 200, 500, our simulation manual, our technical interpretations for simulations and testing. The energy performance values are used for the rating of products which are listed on the label and in our certified products directory, the CPD. The NFRC 102 is the technical document for validating those simulations. Now, there are other technical documents for test-only products, but they're not listed here. Pay particularly attention here, though, to the term standards, as this is where the standardization of NFRC plays an important role in the certification program, which is where that level playing field and accuracy of our programs occurs. Now we're going to look at the commercial component modeling approach, which is a program related to the NFRC 705 product certification program document. Now for the CMA, the guideline document for the participants is the NFRC 705. And for the third-party entities, the labs and the IAs, again, they follow the same program documents, the NFRC 701 and the NFRC 702. This is, again, where that third-party independence can be recognized. And the IA and labs utilize the technical documents, the ANSI 100 and 200 again, the simulation manual, and technical interpretations for simulations, which then are loaded into buckets in the CMA software tool known as CMAS. And then the NFRC 102 is used to validate the simulation. Again, notice the term standards. This is, again, still within this certification program. And then the final part of the CMA program is the approved calculation entity, the ACE. These are the folks that provide the energy performance calculations and the label certificate and generate those label certificates. And yep, we do have a program document for them as well, the NFRC 708. That's the document that governs our ACEs. Now, I mentioned who governs the program documents and how they relate to the certification programs. So now we're going to take a deeper dive into some of these documents to really understand their purpose in our programs. The following are the documents particular to the participant, the licensee, who is fabricating the products in the residential and site-built arena. The NFRC 700 is that governing document for the requirements of that participant. And I'm going to go more in that in the next slide. The NFRC 704, that's the fee schedule for all entities, providing the annual fees to participate in the certification program or as a laboratory or an IA or component program. The NFRC 701 uses the product, participant, and performance compliance. This is what it's used for. Michelle Sism is our quality manager, who is staff contact for that program. And for the Energy Star partners, we do have the FS 1001, our FENSTAR certification program document. And then we have the NFRC 714, which I talked about earlier, which is our challenges appeal document. And this is for when you want to challenge, say, spectral data or thermophysical properties. And fortunately, NFRC has not had to use this program document to date. Now, as previously mentioned, the NFRC 700 is the governing document for licensees participating in the residential and site-built programs. This document lists the licensee requirements, quality manual requirements, product evaluations such as mandatory and optional ratings, information about in-plant inspections and certification requirements. And then the two main requirements, information on permanent and temporary labels and the requirements to maintain that certification. Editing of this document works based on the committee chain. And then we have the ratings committee that governs this document, and they move that 700 to the board for approval. And all the work in our consensus process works through the task group level, up to the subcommittee, up to the committee, the ratings committee, then up to the board. Now there is a policy committee that can govern this document, and that's the Certification Policy Committee, the CPC. Now they will provide work regarding interpretations or quality issues within that program document. The following documents here are particular to the participant that's licensing and fabricating products in the commercial CMA program. And the 705, again, is the CMA certification program document for their participants. I will talk about that the next slide. But we do have a new one here with the 708, and this is governing those individuals, those participants, the ACEs. And they are ones who calculate the ratings and also generate the label certificates. Now the remaining documents you can see here, the 704, the 707, and the 714 are the same documents that help govern our residential program for the fees, for compliance and monitoring, and for any challenges or appeals. Now, as previously mentioned there, the 705, our CMA PCP document, they govern those licensees in the CMA program. This document lists and explains the scope for each role in the program, the component approval process, the licensing requirements, information on obtaining certification and label certificates, and again, details about our quality insurance program. Editing of this document happens just like in the 700. It works through the committee chain. So the task group will move things up to the subcommittee who will ballot the document, which will go to the ratings committee for approval, which then goes to the board for approval and implementation. The CPC, our Certification Policy Committee, is also supporting this document regarding interpretations and any other quality issues. Now, I've been talking about many of the program documents related to the fabricator. Now we're going to take a look at the documents that govern those companies or individuals who are generating or authorizing the ratings. These are the documents that are not balloted by membership and are governed by a policy committee or staff. The NFRC 701, that's our laboratory accreditation program document. This sets the requirements for NFRC accredited simulators and simulation labs and test labs. This document sets those requirements such as the independence for the laboratory, the competency, the training, the lab audits and inspection and reporting requirements. The Accreditation Policy Committee governs the NFRC 701 and therefore it governs the laboratories. The APC will approve labs, provide program interpretations, and any other related lab items. The NFRC 702, our certification agency program document, is for the licensed programs, aka the IAs. This document provides independence and competency requirements and sets those regulations for reviewing certification, for plan audits, and allows licensees quality controls. The Certification Policy Committee governs the 702 and the IAs. And again, they're responsible for the IAs, the staff helping out with that, the interpretations, and any other program-related items. The NFRC 716, this is a new program, and this was recently implemented, which sets the requirements for individuals who are interested in being an NFRC certified simulator, the Certified Simulator Program. This program is a two-tiered program, so you can be a certified simulator or you can be a LEAF certified simulator. So you heard the word LEAF. Well, you may notice at the left-hand corner down at the side, there's a different logo, and this is our LEAF program. NFRC developed this program to support the trendline methodology for generating energy performance ratings in the residential program. You may have heard about the work from the Residential Component-Based Calculation Task Group. who is charged and tasked with developing the trendline methodology. The outcome of the task group's work is the new linear energy analysis for fenestration, aka LEAF. NFRC accredited labs will need to employ or contract with a LEAF certified simulator to submit simulation ratings using the trendline approach. These documents set the following requirements: individual competency, training, grading, and what the individual needs to do to maintain their certified status. This program is different. It's governed by NFRC staff. The APC, though, does provide direct oversight and can provide recommendations and support as necessary. The NFRC 708, Calculation Entity Approval Program. This is those who are recognized the company and person authorized to provide performance calculations and issue label certificates in the CMA program only. This program document describes the independence and competency requirements, requirements to maintain qualification, and licensing procedures. The APC, the Accreditation Policy Committee, governs the documents, and their role is to handle any interpretations and other program-related issues. Now, everything I discussed is about the relationship of the program documents and the certification program. What the participants need to do, what the IAs and the labs are required for independence and competency. Well, we do need documents to describe how to get the values. So in a moment, we're going to review the magic behind the curtain here on how our technical documents reinforce the fair, accurate, and credibility of NFRC's programs. And you have seen these documents when I was describing the two different programs, the residential site built and the CMA. And those are the programs and the standards that the laboratories use. The NFRC technical documents have a range of specifications used for simulation and testing, to how components are used, and we do have supplemental informational documents. Now, the following are the simulation documents that standardize the simulation methodology. You'll see here that 3 of these documents are ANSI approved. The ANSI NFRC 100 is the technical document to generate the U-factor rating. The ANSI NFRC 200 is the document that will give you the solar heat gain coefficient and visual transmittance ratings. Then we have a specific documents for specific products. The NFRC 303 is for laminates, and the NFRC 304 are for applied films. Then there are 2 condensation documents right now. The current condensation resistance rating is in the NFRC 500. And then for the trendline approach, we established a new document, the ANSI NFRC 500, for a new rating known as the condensation index rating. Then we have a simulation manual and a technical interpretations manual, which are used by the entities to model or test products. Now, there are cases where you cannot simulate or model a product. Therefore, we need to have some test-only documents. Again, we have 3 more ANSI documents. And the NFRC 102, the first one there, is primarily used in conjunction to validate our product lines that use the simulation methodology. But in cases of a non-simulated product, they can also generate the U-factor rating. The other documents listed here are used when a product cannot be simulated and are for maybe sometimes a specific rating or maybe a specific product. The NFRC 201 is our solar calorimeter document, and that will provide you a solar heat gain rating. The ANSI NFRC 202 is a visual transmittance rating. And then here we have the same thing with visual transmittance, the ANSI NFRC 203, but that is for specifically for a TDD, a tubular daylighting device. And then the ANSI 400, this is the way we use a physical test to generate the air leakage rating. And this is based on the ANSI 283 test. You're probably most popular, probably know about this if you're well versed in this, if you use the NAF standard. A very important part of NFRC is the use of components for simulations, which is why there are documents for determining the properties of materials and glass. All proprietary materials are required to be listed in the NFRC 101 Thermophysical Property document in order for simulation labs to use your material for simulations. All glass spectral data shall be performed in accordance, the testing for those products in accordance with our series documents, the NFRC 300, 301, and 302. This will generate the spectral data information, which will be listed in the International Glazing Database, the IGDB, and will require a pound sign in order to be used for NFRC certification. And we do have some supplemental documents that are available for referencing. The 600 series documents. We have the Glossary document, and then we also have the 601 document, which is our measurement policy document. For example, in that document, how do you round down the data from the simulation software? And we provide that information. And then we have the NFRC 901 document. This is our annual energy performance document that you can reference. Since we do not have a certification program for that document, it's really just to reference. Now, finally, NFRC does need to provide an avenue to communicate to the industry representatives, and most common method is through these bulletins. Any program-related updates are provided through this type of communicate. These bulletins are going to be emailed to the participant's contact and available on the website. So you can sort of see here what our website looks like, where you can click on the links to download those bulletins. And it's vital for you to keep your point of contact up to date with NFRC, because when we send out the email, the right person will get the right email so they can download the information and send that off to their personnel. Now, before we open this up to answering any questions, let's recap what we learned today. NFRC's relevancy started when the industry required a need to establish a level playing field. Now, how to do that required NFRC to have rules for entities and testing. So the program documents govern each of the entities within the NFRC universe. There are operational documents governing NFRC, program documents that set the requirements for all the participants in their programs, which are then, this is where then the independence and the competencies are established. And finally, we have to have technical documents to work with the program documents and that level playing field to produce fair, accurate, and credible ratings. So I appreciate your